Did you know that every year millions of older adults experience falls? And for many, it's not just a small scare, it changes everything. One bad fall can mean the end of independence, the loss of confidence, or even the beginning of long hospital stays. But here's something that isn't talked about enough. While falls seem almost inevitable for some, there's a quiet group of older adults who walk steadily, move confidently, and rarely, if ever, fall. It's almost like they have a secret, actually 7 of them. And today I'm going to walk you through what they know that most people don't. These aren't complicated workouts or impossible fitness routines. They're simple shifts in how you move, easy enough to make part of your life forever. If you're ready to discover them, let's dive in. I promise you, once you understand these secrets, walking won't feel like a gamble anymore. It will feel like freedom again. Let's start with a little story. Imagine a man named George. At 74, he had always considered himself pretty active. But after 2 nasty falls within 6 months, things changed. One happened while he was crossing his front lawn, and the other just stepping onto a curb he had crossed 1,000 times. He started doubting every step. His daughter even started bringing up the possibility of moving into a safer living facility, and that hit him harder than the bruises. George thought his days of walking proudly and independently were behind him, until a quiet, almost invisible shift in how he walked changed everything. That shift is what we're about to explore together. Now, the first change is so simple you might dismiss it at first glance. It's about where your eyes are. Most people, especially as they get older, tend to walk with their eyes fixed just a few feet in front of them, scanning for cracks, obstacles, or uneven surfaces. It feels like the safe thing to do, but ironically, looking down too much can make you far more likely to fall. When you look down, your posture collapses, your head tips forward, your shoulders round, your center of gravity shifts dangerously. Your body doesn't get the full picture of where you are. George's therapist taught him something called the forward gaze. Instead of staring at the ground, he learned to set his gaze about 10 to 15 feet ahead. He kept his head up, scanning far ahead regularly while letting his peripheral vision catch immediate obstacles. It felt weird at first. He worried he'd trip over something small. But within a week, George noticed he stood taller, breathed easier, and felt more grounded with every step. Science backs this up too. Studies show that lifting your gaze not only improves your posture, but helps your balance system work better, making you react faster to surprises in your path. If you catch yourself staring at the ground when you walk, try lifting your eyes next time. It's a small adjustment, but it can open up an entirely new sense of stability. But adjusting your gaze is only the beginning. Walking steady also depends on what happens when your foot hits the ground. Most people never think about how their foot lands. You'd be amazed at how much it matters. As people age, many unconsciously change how they walk. Some land flat-footed, slapping the whole sole onto the ground at once. Others become cautious toe walkers, stepping gingerly with the front of their foot first. Both patterns create instability. George admitted he had been landing flat-footed for years without realizing it. No wonder his balance was failing him. The natural, safer way, the one children instinctively use, is the heel-to-toe roll. When you step, your heel should make first contact. Then your weight should gently roll forward along the outer edge of your foot, ending with a light push-off from your toes. Practicing this feels strange at first, especially if your body's gotten used to shortcuts. George spent a few afternoons walking slowly along a hallway, focusing on feeling the heel hit first, then rolling forward. He described it like learning to dance again after years of sitting still. After 2 weeks, it felt natural, and his stability dramatically better. He even started walking longer distances without that old fear gnawing at him. Still, posture and footwork alone won't save you if your body's core, the deep muscles around your center, is asleep on the job. That brings us to the next secret. Most people think of the core as something only gym rats worry about, but truthfully, it's your body's natural stabilizer for everything you do. Over time, as we age, we tend to lose that automatic engagement. We walk with loose midsections, relying too heavily on our knees, hips, and backs to compensate. George had never once thought about his stomach muscles while walking. He figured walking was mostly about legs. But once he learned how to gently zip up his core, drawing his belly inward slightly, not sucking it in hard, just lightly activating, it changed everything. Suddenly, he felt like someone had tightened the bolts inside his body, like his movements weren't loose and wobbly anymore. His therapist even recommended placing little sticky notes around his house at first. Every time George spotted one, he'd quickly check if he was engaging his core. After a few weeks, it became automatic. He didn't even have to think about it anymore. Research shows that light core engagement dramatically improves recovery from trips and stumbles. It's like wearing an invisible belt of strength around your waist, quietly protecting you with every step. You might be feeling encouraged by now, seeing how these small changes stack up into something powerful. But here's where it gets even more surprising. Most people, without realizing it, actually make walking harder by what they do with their arms. Hey, Cody. If you pay attention, you'll notice a lot of older adults walk stiffly, holding their arms close to their sides or clutching them awkwardly in front of their bodies. George admitted he was guilty of this too, especially after his first fall, when fear had made him tense. But our arms are meant to move. They act like natural counterbalances, swinging opposite to our legs. Right foot steps forward, left arm swings forward. It's subtle, almost invisible, but it's crucial for balance. When George practiced freeing up his arms, keeping a natural swing at about a 45-degree angle, his entire walking pattern smoothed out. His daughter even commented that he looked younger simply by moving more naturally. Studies show that restoring proper arm swing can reduce the risk of falls by nearly a third. That's no small thing. If you're still with me, and I hope you are, take a deep breath and realize something important. None of these secrets work in isolation. They build on each other, like pieces of a bridge that together carry you safely across dangerous ground. And we still have 3 more powerful secrets to uncover. What's under your feet matters just as much as what you do with your eyes, arms, and core. In the next part, we'll look at how the right shoes and stronger feet can completely transform your balance, even if you thought it was too late to improve. George had never given much thought to his shoes before. As long as they were comfortable and easy to slip on, he figured they were doing their job. But after learning about the hidden dangers lurking under his own feet, he realized just how much he had underestimated the power of proper footwear. Many older adults unknowingly wear shoes that actually work against them. Thick-soled, heavily cushioned sneakers that feel cozy, but block the sensitive nerve endings in the feet from sensing the ground properly. It's like walking with pillows strapped to your feet. You lose the subtle signals that tell your body how to adjust to small changes in terrain. His therapist explained it in a way that finally clicked for George. Your feet are like antennas for balance. When you can't feel the surface beneath you, your brain gets bad information. And when your brain gets bad information, your body makes bad adjustments. That's when the stumbles and the wobbles happen. George made a small but powerful change. He switched to shoes with a low, stable heel, a flexible sole that allowed him to feel the ground, and secure fastenings so his shoes stayed snug around his feet. No more floppy slip-ons. It felt strange at first, less like walking on clouds, more like really connecting with the earth. But within days, he noticed a sharper sense of control, especially on gravel paths and uneven sidewalks. Along with better shoes came another revelation: stronger feet. It turns out that decades of wearing overly supportive shoes can actually weaken the tiny muscles in your feet, leaving them unable to do their job when you need them most. George added a simple daily routine to his life. He started spreading his toes as wide as he could while seated, gripping a towel with his toes and pulling it toward himself, and picking up small objects like marbles with his feet. It wasn't about building foot muscles big enough to impress anyone. It was about reawakening the natural strength and dexterity that kept him steady. After just a month of these small exercises, George felt a difference that surprised even him. His feet felt more alive, more ready to respond to unexpected slips or uneven ground. If you're picturing George now, moving with more confidence and ease, you might be wondering, Was it just the shoes and exercises that made the difference? Not quite. There was another habit he had to break, and this one was so deeply ingrained he barely realized he was doing it wrong. It had to do with the way he placed his feet when he walked. Before learning the next secret, George often walked with his feet too close together, almost like he was walking on a tightrope. This made his body sway side to side, overcorrecting with every step, like a ship struggling to balance on rough seas. It wasn't something he chose consciously. Over time, his natural step width had just narrowed, making every walk riskier without him even noticing. The fix was wonderfully simple. George learned to walk with his feet hip-width apart, no wider, no narrower, just wide enough to create a solid, rectangular base of support under his body. His therapist even helped him practice by laying 2 strips of painter's tape down his hallway at home, perfectly spaced for his hips. He walked that hallway every morning, eyes ahead, arms swinging naturally, core engaged, feet moving confidently along their own parallel tracks. At first, it felt awkward. He had to resist the urge to let his steps drift inward. But after a few weeks, it became second nature. When George returned to his neighborhood walks, he realized something incredible. The slight widening of his steps made him feel like the ground itself was more stable beneath him. But even with good posture, careful steps, strong feet, and the right shoes, there was still one hidden danger George had to face: the way he handled transitions. Most falls, it turns out, don't happen when walking straight ahead. They happen in those small but crucial moments of change: standing up from a chair, turning a corner, stepping from carpet onto tile, reaching sideways to grab something. George had always rushed through these transitions, not giving his balance system a chance to catch up. It was like driving a car and whipping the wheel around without slowing down first. His therapist introduced a simple but life-changing strategy: the 3-second pause. Before changing direction, before standing up, before stepping onto a new surface, George would stop completely for just 3 seconds. During that time, he stabilized his position, lightly engaged his core, focused his eyes where he intended to move, and only then continued. It sounded almost silly to George at first. 3 seconds? Could that really make a difference? But when he practiced it, he immediately noticed fewer wobbles, fewer sudden lurches, and a profound sense of control returning to his movements. It felt like slowing down time just enough to give his body the advantage it needed. He even placed tiny colored dots at key transition points in his house, on the armrest of his favorite chair, next to doorways near the steps. Gentle reminders to pause and reset. After a few weeks, he no longer needed the dots. The pause had become a part of him, a natural rhythm stitched into his steps. Studies show that implementing a brief pause like this before transitions can cut the risk of falls nearly in half. For George, it wasn't just a statistic, it was a new lease on life. Now, if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all these changes, take heart. These 7 secrets might sound like a lot to remember at first, but they work together like gears in a smooth-running machine. Each one supports the others. Lifting your gaze helps you maintain good posture, which makes it easier to walk heel to toe. Engaging your core strengthens your natural stability, which makes arms swinging more natural and powerful. Choosing the right footwear and strengthening your feet make the heel-to-toe roll smoother and safer. Walking with a widened base creates a stable platform for every step. Pausing before transitions gives your body time to adjust and stay in control. George didn't master these changes overnight. It took patience. Some days were better than others, but he stuck with it because he realized something important. Walking without fear isn't just about avoiding falls. It's about reclaiming freedom. It's about trusting your body again. It's about being able to say yes to a walk in the park, a trip to the grocery store, an afternoon chasing grandkids around the backyard, without that gnawing voice in your head whispering, "What if I fall?" And the beauty of it all is that it's never too late to start. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, your body is capable of learning new patterns. Your brain can rewire itself. Your muscles can remember. It just takes the decision to start, one small step at a time. After a few months, something magical began to happen for George. Walking was no longer a cautious, stressful task. It became something he genuinely enjoyed again. He found himself taking longer walks around his neighborhood, stopping to chat with neighbors he hadn't seen in months, even wandering into the nearby park to watch kids play on the swings. It was like a part of him that had quietly faded away had suddenly come back to life. He didn't feel trapped by fear anymore. He felt like himself again. But George would be the first to tell you, this transformation didn't happen by accident. It wasn't luck. It wasn't some fancy gadget or miracle pill. It was the simple, steady practice of the 7 secrets we've just walked through. And for anyone wondering how to start weaving these habits into daily life without feeling overwhelmed, George's story offers a simple path. He didn't try to change everything at once. He treated it like building a house, laying one brick at a time until the structure stood strong. In the beginning, George focused only on his gaze. Every time he stepped outside, he reminded himself, eyes up, looking ahead, not down. He didn't worry about anything else. He just practiced lifting his gaze and trusting his peripheral vision to catch anything unexpected. Some days he forgot and caught himself staring at his feet again. But instead of getting frustrated, he just smiled and corrected it. Over the first few days, something shifted. His posture lifted naturally. His breathing deepened. He felt lighter on his feet. Once the gaze habit felt natural, George added the heel-to-toe roll. At first, he practiced it during short walks inside his house. Down the hallway, across the kitchen, circling the living room. He focused on feeling the heel touch first, letting the weight roll forward smoothly, finishing with a gentle push from the toes. He found that pairing it with the lifted gaze helped both habits stick better, like 2 dancers moving in rhythm together. The third layer was core engagement. George would zip up his belly lightly as he started each walk, almost like fastening an invisible safety belt around his center. He didn't clench or hold his breath. It was a soft, supportive feeling, barely noticeable to anyone but himself. At first, he used little sticky notes around his house as reminders. A red dot by the front door, a yellow one near his favorite chair, a green one next to the coffee maker. They became little silent coaches, nudging him back to awareness when his mind drifted. Next came the arm swing. This part felt surprisingly emotional for George. He hadn't realized how stiff and guarded he had become over the years, holding his arms close to his sides like shields. When he let them swing naturally again, matching the rhythm of his steps, it felt like reclaiming a part of his younger self. He moved with a kind of quiet joy, his body flowing more freely, his confidence growing with every block he walked. Then came the critical check on his footwear. George went through his closet with new eyes. Peter. Out went the floppy slip-ons and thick, heavy-soled sneakers. In came lightweight walking shoes with firm support, a flexible sole, and secure laces. It was an investment, but one that paid off every single day he moved with better feedback under his feet. Alongside that, he began his simple foot-strengthening exercises, spreading his toes while watching TV, picking up marbles with his feet while chatting on the phone, scrunching a towel with his toes while sipping his morning coffee. Tiny moments that added up to a stronger, more stable foundation under him. After that, George focused on widening his walking base. He visualized train tracks under his feet, parallel lines, never crossing over. It took conscious practice at first. He even laid down 2 strips of tape in his hallway, walking them back and forth like a tightrope walker, learning to trust the ground again. Slowly but surely, the habit stuck. His steps felt more grounded. His balance grew steadier. Finally came the secret that tied everything together: mindful transitions. That simple 3-second pause before changing direction, before standing up, before stepping onto a different surface. It was humbling at first, learning to slow down, to resist the urge to rush through everyday movements. But George discovered that those tiny pauses made him feel powerful, not weak. They gave him control at moments when most people give it away. Looking back, George realized he hadn't just changed how he walked. He had changed how he moved through life. With every gaze lifted, every heel-to-toe roll, every quiet core engagement, every free arm swing, every careful step, every grounded base, In every mindful pause, he was telling himself and the world, I am still here. I am still strong. I am still free. It's important to say this too. George's journey wasn't about perfection. Some days he forgot. Some days his old habits crept back in. There were moments he caught himself rushing or locking his arms or letting his eyes drop to the ground. But he never treated those moments as failures. He treated them as reminders, gentle nudges back onto the path he had chosen for himself. And little by little, what started as deliberate effort turned into second nature. Walking became smoother. Transitions became safer. Falls, once a looming fear, faded into the background. The world opened back up to George, not because it had changed, but because he had. If you're reading this and wondering if it's too late for you, let George's story be your answer. It's never too late. Your body is always listening. Your brain is always learning. Your muscles are always willing to remember what strength feels like, even if it's been a while. Change doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence, patience, and a willingness to begin. Maybe today is your beginning. Maybe today is the first day you lift your gaze a little higher. Maybe today you remember to let your arms swing freely. Maybe today you pause before turning and give your body the chance to move with grace again. One small step at a time. That's how every journey begins. There's something deeply beautiful about reclaiming what we thought we had lost, about realizing that even after a stumble, even after fear settles into our bones for a while, we can rise. We can change the story we tell ourselves about our bodies, about aging, about what's possible. George's story isn't a miracle. It's a reminder of what happens when we choose not to give up on ourselves. Walking, something so simple and ordinary, becomes extraordinary when you realize it is the gateway to freedom. Each step becomes a quiet declaration that life isn't done offering you adventures. That there are still parks to walk through, markets to wander, doorsteps to climb, grandkids to chase, sunsets to stroll under. Life doesn't shrink because of age. It only shrinks when fear takes root and we forget that our bodies, even aging ones, are capable of learning and adapting. When George started, he thought he was learning to prevent falls. But somewhere along the way, he discovered he was learning to trust again. Trust his feet to find solid ground. Trust his balance to catch him if he wavered. Trust himself to move through the world with grace instead of caution. And that trust spilled over into other parts of his life too. He said yes to outings he would have declined before. He joined a local walking group, made new friends, laughed more. He even planned a hiking trip with his grandchildren, a gentle trail, but one he once thought he would never see again. If you are sitting there wondering whether these small shifts are worth the effort, know this. It's not just about walking better. It's about living better. It's about waking up every morning with a little more confidence, a little less fear, and a whole lot more hope. It's about seeing each day not as a series of hazards to survive, but as a landscape to explore. Imagine for a moment what your life would feel like if walking wasn't a source of worry anymore, if each step felt steady. If you could look ahead, not down. If you could trust your body to carry you where you wanted to go without the shadow of fear trailing behind you. That future isn't as far away as it might seem. It starts with one small choice, one moment of lifting your gaze, one conscious step from heel to toe, one mindful pause before changing direction, one gentle breath as you engage your core, one swing of your arms to find your rhythm again, one choice made over and over until it becomes who you are. And if you're thinking, but I've had bad habits for so long, remember this. The human body is amazing at adapting. Neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire itself, doesn't have an expiration date. You are not stuck. Your habits are not chains. They're just paths worn deep by repetition. And any path can be changed when you decide to walk a new way. Maybe today is the day you lay down that first new path. Maybe today is the day you remind yourself, I deserve to walk with confidence. I deserve to move through the world without fear. I deserve to live fully, freely, and joyfully, no matter what the calendar says about my age. And if this message resonates with you, even just a little, if you found a spark of hope in George's story or in the simple power of these 7 secrets, then I invite you to pass it on. Share this wisdom with someone you care about. Maybe it's a friend who's been feeling unsteady lately. Maybe it's a parent or a grandparent who's lost some confidence. Maybe it's yourself, a version of you who needed to hear that it's not too late. Sharing knowledge like this isn't just about preventing falls. It's about helping each other reclaim the simple, profound joy of moving through life on our own 2 feet. It's about building a world where aging doesn't mean shrinking back, but stepping forward, steadily, proudly, beautifully. So if you found value here, if even one idea sparked something inside you, I would be honored if you liked this video and subscribe for more life-changing tips designed to help older adults live with strength, confidence, and independence. Your support doesn't just help us grow, it helps spread a message that is too important to keep quiet, that life after 60, after 70, after 80 can still be rich, vibrant, and full of movement. You are not fragile. You are not finished. You are capable of moving forward, steadily, confidently, joyfully, one step, one choice, one moment at a time. Thank you for walking this journey with me today. Until next time, keep moving forward, eyes up, heart open, and never forget, every step you take is a step toward the life you still deserve to live.